Welcome to Nature Academy. Myself, Dr. Sheikh Ahmed, Physics faculty from Nature Academy. So this is our fourth lecture. So this lecture is about pair production and annihilation process. In the previous lectures, we discussed blackbody radiation, photoelectric effect, and Compton effect. All these three effects describe the particle nature of radiation, and one more effect is known as pair production, which also describes the particle nature of radiation. So here I want to ask one question, that is, can kinetic energy of a photon be converted into mass? The energy of a photon can be converted into mass. So what is your answer? Yes or no? So my answer is yes. We can create mass from energy of photon. Okay, so this statement, whatever I said here, it depends upon Einstein's mass energy equivalence, that is E is equals to mc square, where E is the energy of an object having mass m. So if we write m is equals to E by c square, so c is the velocity of light, which is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second square. C square will be 10 power, c square will be the order of 10 power 16, so mass will be less. So from this mass energy equivalence, I can say that energy can be converted into mass and mass can be converted into energy. So we know so many examples for mass converting into energy. So one of them is radioactive elements. If you take any radioactive element, their mass will disintegrate in the form of nuclear energy. Okay, so what is an example for energy converting into mass? So pair production is an example for mass converting into pair production is an example for energy converting into mass. So let us discuss what is pair production in this lecture. So photons energy can be converted entirely into an electron and a positron in a process called pair production. Pair production is nothing but creation of electron and positron. So what is electron? You know that electron is a negatively charged elementary particle and positron is an opposite to electron. So I can say positron is an anti-electron. Okay, we can call this as anti-electron also. This is just like matter and antimatter. Electron has an antiparticle, that is positron. So what are the similarities between electron and positron? Electron have mass me, the rest mass is 9.1 10 power minus 31 kg. We know this thing. So I will write electron as me minus, mass of the electron as me minus, positron is represented with E plus, the mass of positron and mass of electron both are same, and spin also same. So electron has half integral spin, so they can also have half integral spins. And what is the difference between electron and positron is the charge. If the electron charge is QE, so the value is minus 1.6 10 power minus 19 coulombs. This is the charge of electron, and the charge of positron is simply plus 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. Okay, so photon energy is h nu. This h nu is converting into an electron and a positron. So this process is known as pair production. So let us look for the conditions where we can get this pair production. So first of all, I will start with photon of high energy. So gamma rays, I will take gamma rays. What do you know about gamma rays? What are the particles in gamma rays? So gamma rays are nothing but photons only, photons of high energy. So for example, I will take 1 million electron volts to 10 million electron volts energy. What are X-rays? X-rays also photons. So few kilovolts, kilo electron volts to million electron volts. X-rays also photons. So X-rays are used to study the Compton effect. Gamma rays are used to study the pair production. So first of all, I will start with a photon of high energy. and the energy is in the form of h nu, and momentum h nu by c. These interacting with matter. Here matter is nucleus. When photon interacts with the nucleus, it will create an electron E minus and a positron E plus. So the electron will have energy E minus and the momentum P minus, whereas the positron has energy E plus and momentum P plus. So this is theta minus is the angle at which the electron recoils, and theta plus is the angle at which the positron recoils. The process of conversion of photon energy into electron and positron is known as pair production. So pair production will take place only in the presence of nucleus. If there is no nucleus, you will not get any pair production. I mean to say that in free space, you will not get any pair production. Okay, we'll come to that point later. Photon of energy h nu is converting into electron and positron. So the energy of electron is E minus, and let us say the energy of the positron is E plus, and the nucleus also gains some energy. So the nucleus recoils. So this I can write the energy of nucleus is simply I will write KEN. Okay, so N stands for nucleus, kinetic energy of the nucleus. So the energy of the electron can be written as rest mass of the electron MEc square plus kinetic energy of the electron. So let us write this is Me minus c square. So this is the energy of the electron, plus I will write E plus as Me plus c square plus kinetic energy of your positron, and there is kinetic energy of nucleus. It implies h nu is equals to, so see here, mass of electron and mass of proton both are same. So mass of electron and mass of positron both are same, so I can take MEc square and MEc square both are same, so I will write it as 2MEc square. You can write E minus or E plus, and what are the other terms? Ke of electron plus Ke of kinetic energy of positron. Ken is the kinetic energy of the nucleus. Since the nucleus is heavier compared with electron, we can ignore the kinetic energy of nucleus. So I can take kinetic energy of nucleus as 0. Therefore, finally I have arrived at an expression. The energy of incident photon is equals to MEc square 2MEc square plus Ke of electron plus kinetic energy Ke plus of a positron. So this is the expression for pair production. Now what is the minimum energy required for the photon to create an electron and positron pair? The minimum energy h nu, the minimum energy required to create electron hole pair is simply I can make Ke of electron 0 and Ke of positron 0, then that will be simply 2MEc square. So this is the minimum energy required to create an electron positron pair. And if you want to write in the form of numerical values, MEc square is the rest mass energy of the electron, which is 0. I will write here, which is 0.511 million electron volts. If you write, you can write this as 1.022 million electron volts. So this is very important, students. You will get some theoretical questions on this formula. What is the minimum energy required for the photon to create an electron hole pair? Simply the answer is 2MEc square or 1.022 million electron volt. So to get electron positron pair, the photon energy must be greater than or equals to 1.022 MeV. Now, so I want to discuss the law of conservation of energy. Law of conservation of energy is valid here. So from the law of conservation of energy, I have derived expression h nu is equals to 2MEc square plus kinetic energy of electron, which is E minus, and kinetic energy of positron, E plus, and kinetic energy of nucleus, so I can ignore this one. Now check for law of conservation of momentum. Law of conservation of momentum. This is very, very important. See, photon has initial momentum h nu by c, and after pair production, electron and hole will move in opposite direction. Suppose electron is moving in this direction, it will have some momentum like this. Exactly opposite to the electron momentum, the positron will move like this. So one momentum is in upward direction, another one momentum is in downward direction. So that as a result, I can write total momentum after pair production is 0, whereas before pair production, photon has some momentum. So law of conservation of momentum is violated. A law of conservation of momentum is violated if there is any no nucleus. If there is no nucleus. For example, assume that there is no nucleus. Simply, the photon is incident in the free space. Electron and positrons are created. Then law of conservation of momentum is violated. So now I am checking for law of conservation of momentum, LCM, law of conservation of momentum. Initial momentum before pair production is h nu c, and after also we should have some momentum. Okay, so this is before pair production case and this is after pair production case. After pair production, electron will have one momentum like this and positron will have another momentum like this, so that this is 0. Okay, so that this is 0. So electron and positron will move opposite direction, so that their resultant momentum is 0. So when you compare the momentum on both sides, left side we have h nu by c and right side 0. So how to compensate that momentum? So this momentum is taken by the nucleus and this nucleus will move in this direction. That means whatever be the momentum given by the photon will be taken, will be transferred to the nucleus, and the nucleus will make, and the nucleus will move in this direction. That means the law of conservation of momentum is valid when you have a nucleus. If there is no nucleus, law of conservation of energy, law of conservation of momentum will be violated. So we'll discuss that point later. This process occurs only when the photon passes through the matter. If there is no matter, that means there is no nucleus. Assume that there is no nucleus, the momentum will be h nu by c, and here electron will have one momentum and positron will have another momentum, so net momentum is 0. But initially we have h nu by c, so law of conservation of momentum is violated if there is no nucleus. If there is a nucleus, this momentum will be given to the nucleus and nucleus will recoil like this. Anyways, the law of conservation of energy is valid and law of conservation of charge is also valid, because photon has initial charge 0 in this side, whereas electron has negative charge and positron has positive charge. So as a result, we will get net charge is 0 here. So net charge before pair production is 0, net charge after pair production also 0. And the energy E is equals to h nu. This will be converted as energy of the electron, energy of the positron. So law of conservation of charge and law of conservation of energy both are satisfied. But momentum will not satisfy if there is no nucleus. The next point is minimum energy required to get pair production is 2 MEC square, which is 1.02 MeV. The probability of pair production increases with higher photon energy and atomic number of the nucleus. If you increase the photon energy, then pair production, the probability of pair production will increases. If we increase the atomic number of the material, or if you increase the atomic number of the nucleus, the pair production also increases. Materials having highest Z value are ready to participate in pair production. Energy momentum would not be conserved if the reaction takes place in isolation. So if there is no nucleus and we assume that the photon is incident in a free space, then what happens? Is it possible to get electron positron pair? No. So that means in isolation or in free space, pair production will not take place. Let us work on that one. So let us prove that no pair production takes place in free space. For that, take a photon of energy h nu, which is traveling through the free space. There is no nucleus here, and we assume that electron and hole pairs are created. Okay, so electron is recoiled with an angle theta minus, and positron is recoiled with an angle theta plus. So first let us write law of conservation of energy. According to law of conservation of energy, h nu of the photon will be equal to electron energy plus positron energy. Since we are using high energetic photons, electron and positron gain velocity which is approximately equal to the velocity of light. We'll apply the law of conservation of energy in relativistic domain. In that case, the energy E can be written as me c square and whole square. So this is energy of the electron plus under root p plus c whole square plus the rest mass of electron and rest mass of positron both are same. So here I can write this is also me c square and to the power square. So this is according to law of conservation of energy. From this expression I can write h nu is always greater than p minus c, p minus into c plus p plus into c. Here what is p minus? P minus is the momentum of the electron, p plus is momentum of p minus is momentum of electron, and p plus is the momentum of the positron. So h nu is always greater than p minus c plus p plus c, right? This is let us say this is equation 1. Now apply law of conservation of momentum here. So law of conservation of momentum. So now I want to apply law of conservation of momentum along two axes. One is x-axis, other one is y-axis direction. We are going to apply along x-axis. So apply law of conservation of momentum. So the initial momentum is h nu by c. This is the momentum of the photon. Along x-axis, the momentum is h nu by c here. So electron has horizontal component. The momentum of the electron along x-axis is like this. So that is simply p minus cos theta. Here theta is theta minus plus the positron also has the horizontal component along x-axis. So that is the horizontal component of positron is p plus cos theta plus. Theta plus is the recoil angle, scattered angle of positron. Or I can write this expression as, so just I multiplied c, just I multiplied right hand side with c, so you got this expression. So this is law of conservation of momentum along x-axis. So from this one I can write h nu max, the maximum of photon energy. The maximum of photon energy can be written as h nu max. When will you get h nu max? If cos theta is 1, cos theta minus is 1 and cos theta plus is 1, then only we'll get maximum value. So in this case I can write h nu max is p minus c plus p plus c. So let us say this is equation number 2. Equation 1 is saying that h nu is greater than p minus c plus p plus c. Whereas equation 2 is saying that h nu is equals to the maximum of photon energy is equals to p plus c plus p minus c. So if you look at the two equations carefully, so you can find that the two equations are inconsistent. So one equation is saying that the value h nu is greater than p minus p plus into c. Another one is saying that it is equals to p minus into p minus c plus p plus c. Both equations are inconsistent and cannot simultaneously be valid. Therefore, our assumption is wrong. What is our assumption? We assumed that photon in free space creates electron hole pair. Okay, so that is our assumption, which is wrong. So from this, I can say that you cannot get pair production in free space. So what is pair annihilation? So the opposite of pair production is known as pair annihilation. So a pair of positron and an electron is known as positronium. So positronium is like hydrogen-like atom. It has electron and positron pair. So this pair is known as a positronium whose lifetime is around 10 power minus 10 seconds. The lifetime of positronium is 10 power minus 10 seconds. Positronium in free space annihilates and emits at least 2 photons to conserve energy and momentum. So let us focus on this one. Positronium in free space annihilates and emits at least 2 photons. Positronium means what? A pair of electron and positron, they annihilate and they give at least 2 photons. So I'll write photon here with gamma symbol, at least 2 photons like this. So here it is free space. So pair annihilation is possible in free space, but we cannot find pair production in free space. How pair annihilation takes place in free space? Let us look at here. Electron and positron, they will always move opposite to each other. So what is the linear momentum in this case? So linear momentum initial is equals to 0. Since electron will move in this direction and positron will move in this direction, they annihilate each other and as a result we'll get 2 photons. Not 1 photon, 2 photons here. So initial momentum is 0. So final momentum will be 0. So to get the final momentum 0, these emitted gamma photons will move opposite to each other. As a result, the final momentum will also 0. So that's what he told, that positronium annihilates in free space and emits at least 2 photons to conserve energy and momentum. If you assume that, let us see what happens if we have only 1 photon. If electron and positron annihilate each other in the free space, so electron and positron annihilate in free space if we assume that there is only 1 gamma photon. Is this reaction possible? Since the initial momentum is 0, but photon has 1 momentum, right? Even the photon has rest mass 0, they have momentum. So final momentum is non-zero momentum. So you can write this momentum as E by C. So initial momentum 0, final momentum is non-zero. So law of conservation of energy, law of conservation of momentum is violated. So that means single photon is not allowed in pair production if the annihilation takes place in free space. But if the electron and positron annihilate in the presence of a nucleus, if they annihilate in the presence of nucleus, then we can expect 1 gamma photon in any direction opposite to the direction of that gamma photon. The nucleus will recoil opposite to the direction. As a result, final momentum will be 0, and you know that initial momentum is 0. So law of conservation of energy is again satisfied. If the annihilation takes place in the presence of a nucleus, 1 photon will be created. So law of conservation of linear momentum is satisfied in this case. Electron and positron, when they annihilate in the free space, you will get 2 gamma photons. 2 photons from positronium annihilation will move in opposite directions each with energy 0.511 MeV. You know that the minimum energy required to get pair production is 1.022. So the minimum energy required to get pair production is how much? 1.022 billion electron volts. In the pair annihilation process, so two gamma photons will share that energy 1.022 million electron volts, the energy of the two photons emitted in the pair annihilation process, so that each gamma photon will have half of that one. Half of 1.02 is 0.511 MeV, and these photons will move in opposite direction, so that linear momentum will be 0. The final linear momentum will be 0. Annihilation of positonium near a nucleus creates one photon only because the missing momentum can be supplied by the nucleus recoil. Yes, now let us discuss some previous year's questions. Although mass energy equivalence of special relativity allows conversion of photon into an electron-positron pair, law of conservation of energy is valid in case of pair production, but law of conservation of linear momentum is not satisfied in free space. That is the thing here. Although mass energy equivalence of special relativity allows conversion of a photon into electron-positron pair, such a process cannot occur in free space. This is a GATE 2005 question. Such a process cannot occur in free space since the mass is not conserved, the energy is not conserved. These are all wrong things. The energy is not conserved here. This is also wrong. Charge is not conserved. This is also wrong. Since charge is conserved, electron will have one charge and the antiparticle positron will have another charge. So that total charge will be 0. So what is unconserving parameter here? The linear momentum is not conserving in free space. Now there is another question from just the reaction E minus E plus giving rise to gamma is forbidden because what is this reaction? This is pair annihilation, where electron and positron annihilate each other and gives rise to 1 gamma is forbidden because lepton number is not conserved. This is wrong. Lepton number will be conserved. Linear momentum is not conserved. Angular momentum is not conserved. It is nowhere related with angular momentum. Charge is not conserved. This is also wrong. Charge is always conserved. Linear momentum is not conserved. Why it is linear momentum is not conserved? E minus E plus giving rise to gamma. So that is one photon. So in this reaction, the linear momentum is not conserved. To get the linear momentum conserved, we must have at least another one photon. So that linear momentum will be conserved. Or what we can write, if there is a nucleus here, then linear momentum is also conserved. Since gamma will move in one direction, the gamma photon will move in one direction, to that gamma photon, the nucleus will recoil. As a result, the total linear momentum will be 0 after pair annihilation and before pair annihilation. Let us try to solve one simplest formula or simplest problem. Calculate the minimum energy of a photon so that it converts into an electron-positron pair. Calculate photons frequency and wavelength. Let us look at this first one. So you know the thing, right? Minimum energy of a photon so that it can be converted into electron-positron pair is h nu, that is equals to, I will write here h nu minimum, it is around 2m is 2 times of rest mass energy of the electron, which is equals to 1.022 million electron volts. So this is the minimum energy required for a photon. So next question, or next one, calculate photons energy and wavelength. You know, right? H nu is equals to this much. So frequency can be written as 2me c square by h. So 2me c square is simply 1.022 million electron volt divided by h is Planck's constant. You know the Planck constant value 6.625 or 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 joule second. You can convert into electron volts also. If you simplify this one, you will get photon energy, frequency of the photon. And wavelength also you can easily calculate, since you know the relation between frequency and wavelength. So frequency can be written as c by lambda, or lambda can be written as c by nu. So this is the wavelength of the photon, and we substitute these values here. So c is simply 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second square here, meter per second, and new value from the above equation you can substitute here. You will get the wavelength also. This is very simple formula, but in most of the exams like university exams, HCU, BHU or Delhi University exams, they ask the question like what is the minimum energy of a photon required to convert into electron positron is simply 2 MEC square or 1.022 million electron volts. Next, there is another question. So this question explains all different types of matter radiation interaction here. Photons of energy 0.3 electron volt, 3 electron volt, 3 keV, 3000 electron volts and 3 mega electron volts, 3 million electron volts strike matter. Okay, what reaction would you expect to be important? So here I have a matter and I have incident photons of different frequencies and different energies. So one is having 0.3 electron volt, other one is having 3 electron volt, another one has 3 kilo electron volts, another one 3 million electron volts. So different energies, different energies of photons are incident on matter. Now what reaction would you expect to be important? So there are different scattering process: Raman scattering, pair production, photoelectric effect, Compton effect, atomic ionization, and Rayleigh scattering. The Raman scattering takes place at very low energy. 0.3 electron volts sufficient for Raman scattering. Photons, if the photons have 3 electron volts energy, then which one we expect? Atomic ionization, it will occur at 3 electron volts, and Rayleigh scattering also occur at 3 electron volts. So if the incident photon has 3 keV, 3000 electron volts, then photoelectric effect is dominating here. So you may get a question, students, in your exam. Photons of energy nearly equals to 3 keV incident on a material, then which of the following effect is dominating? Which one you expect more important? Then photoelectric effect is more important. Photoelectric effect takes place in few thousands of electron volts. Okay, the last one, when you have the photons of energy 3 million electron volts, then you can expect Compton effect and pair production also. So this is the range of the energy for pair production. So in general, the pair production will take place from 1 to 10 million electron volts. If we have photons of energy 1 to 10 million electron volts, pair production is the dominating phenomena. And few kilovolts to less than 3 million volts, you will get Compton effect. Okay, so this is the range. So now I will write everything here. Raman scattering will take place at 0.3 electron volt, pair production at 3 million electron volt, photoelectric effect 3 kilo electron volt, Compton effect also takes place at 3 million electron volt, atomic ionization and Rayleigh scattering, they will occur at 3 electron volt. What is atomic ionization? the amount of energy required to remove a valence electron from any atom. So when you incident photon of low energy, like in the order of some 3 electron volts or 4 electron volts, the loosely bound electrons from the valence shell will come out. So that's process known as ionization process. Okay, I hope you understood this concept. So there are three important processes: photoelectric effect, Compton effect, and pair production provide independent contributions to the absorption of photons in any medium. So here I have a medium, I have a material here, and photons are incident on this one. So this is like light matter interaction. Light matter interaction. So in this process, light matter interaction, three process: photoelectric effect, Compton effect, and paired production, they provide the direct consequence of direct conformation of particle nature of light, and they give three different independent contributions to the absorption of photons. So what are these absorptions? The total absorption coefficient can be written as sum of three separate coefficients. So mu is total absorption coefficient, which can be written as absorption coefficient due to photoelectric effect, absorption coefficient due to Compton effect, absorption due to paired production. I have drawn a graph between total absorption coefficient mu and energy of the incident photon. So energy of gamma rays here, E gamma. So gamma rays generally they have energy in million electron volts only. So first I will start with photoelectric effect. Since photoelectric effect is dominant when we have the photons of energy few kilo electron volts. So the red line, see the red line is for, okay, we'll start from photoelectric effect. The absorption coefficient due to photoelectric effect is the solid black line. So this is dominating, see here, the black line is dominating at the low value of low energy value, and Compton effect, the red line is indicated with absorption due to Compton effect. So this is dominating when the energy range is like 1 million electron volts to few 100 million electron volts. And pair production, last one is pair production. So this is pair production curve. The dotted blue one is pair production curve. So this one, this is dominating when the photons of energy is more than 100 million electron volts. So 1 million electron volts to 100 million electron volts, the pair production is dominating. So as a result, when you join all the absorption coefficients, so this is the behavior of your absorption coefficient. So the green curve here represents the absorption coefficient as a function of the incident energy. So here there are some points to remember from this study. So here we have studied the pair production and pair annihilation process. So first point to remember is conversion of energy into mass. Conversion of energy into mass is taking place in this one. So energy H nu is the energy of incident photon is converting into electron, which has some mass, and it's the antiparticle positron, which also has the same mass. So electron and positron pair is known as positronium. So energy of photon is converting into mass. Next one, conservation of charge is valid here. Of course, gamma rays is the gamma photon is converting into electron. Gamma photon is converting into electron and its antiparticle positron. So this charge is -1. The charge of electron is -1 and charge of positron is +1. As a result, we get total charge is equal to 0 on right side, and photons anyhow they don't have any charge. So that means initially it is 0. And after pair production, before pair production, the charge is conserved. Pair production cannot take place in free space. Minimum energy required to get pair production is 2 MEC square, which is 1.02 MeV. Pair production can take place only with high energy. So the energy value is, minimum value is 1.02 MeV. The minimum value is 1.02 MeV. Pair annihilation. What is pair annihilation? Conversion of mass into energy. So here conversion of mass means electron and its antiparticle annihilate with each other, and as a result we will get gamma photons. and as a result we get gamma photons. So this is energy. Gamma photons have some energy. So on the right side we have energy, on the left side we have mass. So mass is converting into energy. At least two photons are produced in pair annihilation. We can have 3, 4 also. Total sum of all the momentums will become 0. Pair annihilation. Single photon emission is not valid due to violation of linear momentum. We discussed this point also. Positronium. The lifetime of positronium is 10 power minus 10 second, which is very very less. The lifetime of an ordinary atom, if any atom, is 10 power minus 8 second only. So this 10 power minus 8 second is larger than the lifetime of positronium. So that means positronium is a short-lived atom. So during this pair production, we'll get electron and positrons, and this positron immediately annihilates and forms again the gamma radiation. So positronium is just like an hydrogen atom in which proton is replaced by positron. Pair production confirms the particle nature of radiation, particle nature of light. That's for today's lecture. I hope you understood the concept. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video.